Hey guys, welcome to the transactions video for the ASL for week 9, and I just want to say that I'm trying to recover from week 8, and I think I have a little. I just felt good enough that I wanted to record transactions, which is I didn't think I'd ever want to record after that. But anyways, I do want to preface this video by saying that I will most likely be focusing on playoff teams from now on. When I go in depth in trades, I probably won't go as in depth for a team that is well. Let's pull up the standings real quick. Essentially, for now, at this moment, the top 10 teams I'll be talking in depth about their team, and these four, I don't think it's gonna be their year. Honestly, Malone's already eliminated, and they're too far back, and with so many teams ahead of them, it's not gonna be. But like even Static, it's gonna be really tough. But the thing with Static is that he plays opponents that allows him to get a chance, and he still will be in the conversation as long as he can win a couple more games. Anyways, and I don't know if people don't like this, but honestly, there's too many trades right now to really focus on them. Maybe in a couple weeks when there aren't as many trades, I could go, but for now, this is what I'm gonna do. So the first trade I'll be talking about, it was done by Brad and the Contract Killers. So let me just hop right into this really quick. So Brad and the Contract Killers make a trade with Inari and the Nightmare Nidoking. Brad trades Azelf and Flygon for Inaria, Starmie, and Mamoswine. They're both Tier 1 Mons. Azelf was Brad's Z Captain, and that's important. And you'll notice I have Cresselia here. Cresselia isn't part of this transaction, but it is part of Brad's team, so we'll be talking about it in conjunction with this transaction. So Brad gets rid of Azelf, which was I thought it was one of his better Mons this year, but he does pick up Starmie. And normally I would say, oh, Starmie's a great Pokemon to pick up, but he does drop it like literally the next week. So instead, I would talk about Cresselia, which he picked up in a trade with Gustavo. Gonna assume that Gustavo wanted Starmie, which is why this trade was necessary for Brad's part. This trade right here. But anyways, if we just pretend like Brad traded Azelf and Flygon for Cresselia and Mamoswine, that's probably that's basically what happened. So Brad, at the end of the day, picks up Mamoswine and Cresselia, which, honestly, this changes his team so much. Cresselia, like, he had it in Season 1. I remember, like, it was just so hard to beat. I feel like Malone hasn't been using Cresselia at all. He's been letting it get toxic way too easily. Brad will use Cresselia amazingly, and I don't play him anymore unless I face him in the playoffs, so I'm happy for that. But really, like Malone, you counter this thing by either taunting it, knocking it off, or setting up alongside it. Not many Mons can set up alongside it. I'm not really knock off, but like beat it down to 2 KOs. And again, not many Mons can do that either. So the only real way you're gonna beat it reliably every time is their taunt or toxic. And Brad knows how to play around that. And honestly, the sets, I don't really think there'll be much variance, but it's going to be either Calm Mind, Thunder Wave, or Moonblast, depending on the team need. Psyshock, because that means you could set up alongside, let's say, Clefable, because obviously it hits on the physical side. And then you're going to have Moonlight. And what I really like about Cresselia, what I think it has over stuff like Clefable, and like let's say Slowbro and stuff like that. I don't know when pick up Slowbro, like Slow King on Susie's team. Is its speed tier is so good for a Mon that bulky. At max speed, it outspeeds. Well, like let me just think, like 284, which is 80. So and you wouldn't run max speed. I'm just saying, like as kind of a gauge, where even if you run like a bulky set that runs Bull, you always can run enough speed to outspeed. Like it's right here. That's enough for Lando T. This is Crawdon speed. I know that off the top of my head, but like there's other like 237. That's enough for base 100 Mons. So that's outspeed Mew and stuff. So I'm just saying, like as a side option, its speed tier is very good, and obviously we all know about its bulk. Now, here's the problem with this transaction. Because Starmie was Brad's Z captain because he traded for himself, this means Cresselia is by default Brad's Z captain. That is going to be very interesting to see how Brad plays that. I'm not sure if he's gonna make a move. I don't even know how you could really change this, to be honest. But I really don't. When you think about worst Z captains, this might be on the top list next to like I don't know. Jeez, as a Z captain, could you really get a worse one? But I don't know. Maybe Brad did this on purpose, which I hope he actually explains this to me because I want to see if he has any plans up his sleeve. Because it does get coverage moves, but like I feel it should be used as a calm minesweeper, regardless. Next trade, Brad ended up trading Flygon for Mamoswine. Oh my lord, this is such a good trade. I love this trade so much. I'm actually quite surprised that Flygon is a tier 1 mon. I don't really remember the reason. Oh, yeah, I think it's because the Dragon Dance buff. Interesting. Mamoswine is, again, he got rid of an offensive rocker for an offensive rocker, which fits his team better. And really, these are trades I love talking about because I can see how Brad thought so far. Because look, as of offense stealth rocker, offensive stealth rocker, Flygon, ground type, Mamoswine, ground type. Everything fits. It's just a different. The main things are the same with these mons, but the actual niches they play are different, which I really like that. And honestly, I think Mamoswine fits better on his team. It just hits so hard. It gets the 2 stabs. It gets priority and it gets knockoff. Just what else do you need, honestly? As for the mons he lost, Azelf, I'm a little disappointed in that. Flygon, with it not being a Z captain, was kind of hindered. And honestly, as a Dragon Dancer in Draft League, it's kind of just it's kind of meh, B minus, B plus maybe. And then of course he already has like Lucario is a pretty good setup sweeper in my opinion. Bolt Venomoth. So I don't know if you really need a setup sweeper so much as needed another wall breaker. So yeah, that is the first transaction of the week. Obviously Anaria does end up picking up Azelf and Flygon. So I guess we could quickly look over how this works for him. Flygon gives him a ground type, which he has, but it's in Gligar, which kind of, and he's not really that weak to ice. I know he's got all these but he's got Thick Fast Snorlax, he's got Registeel. It should be Angelus shouldn't be an issue. As for Azelf, this is his third Stealth Rocker, but honestly, Gligar, I don't know if he's brought it very much. I would be using Azelf as an offensive one, Nasty Plot Wall Breaker. That's just my opinion. So that is the first kind of 3-team transaction. Because, Gustavo did end up picking up Starmie, which Gustavo... Again, see, this is kind of the problem with talking about teams out of the contention, is that what do I talk about their team? They're out of contention, and they're probably making trades that fits their playstyle, well, and not so much for winning, which is hard for me to talk about. But yeah, see, Starmie, he didn't have a spinner before, and Masquerade's pretty unreliable. So yeah, that fits a team need. So good on Gustavo. It's kind of a good pickup. I actually do like Starmie a lot. So yeah, that is the first transaction. Let's hop into the next one. All right, and really quickly, I skipped a lot of the transactions. There's like 5 between the teams I talked about, and if I will talk about them, but I will talk about them at the end of the video and really quickly. For now, I'm going to focus on the transactions with teams that are in playoff contention. I said that before, but just so if you guys want to see it, it'll be at the end of the video. I promise. So next transaction. This is one of my favorite transactions I've seen so far, and I said this twice about Hutch. First he picked up Comfey, now he picks up Ambipom, 2 of my favorite mons. And I'll explain why these are some of my favorite mons, especially in a draft league format. So if I had to list the top 3 mons available that could fit on any team, I would have said Ambipom, Chinchino went before I picked it up, and then Braviary. Those 3 after Espeon was picked up. Espeon was number 1, obviously. In tier 2. Because these 3 mons fit on every team. Literally every team could use these 3 mons. And the reason why is because Chinchino and Ambipom, as offensive support, they really can't. They're the most versatile mons available right now. Since I did talk about it a lot, and this thing does much the same, but its gimmick is slightly different. Whereas Chinchino gets the skill link, where it can stop moves like King's Rock and stuff, and break sashes. Ambipom gets Technician. Ambipom has 115 speed. That is amazing for your tier 2 offensive pressure. 100 attack is like whatever. Its defense is bad, but when it's that fast, you know. But what really sets it apart is it gets 60 base power fake out every time. You fake out everything. Nothing's gonna really prevent a fake out. With Life Orb Technician, this fake out can do like 50% to offensive mon. This is ridiculous. I've played this mon a lot in RU Gen 6. Fake out, you U-turn out, you fake out again. So good. Alternatively, a set that has been really popular as a gimmick, but actually became pretty good, was the Fake Out Last Resort set. I don't like this set as much in draft. I'm just say that right now. This is more of a ladder because you just generally get the most value out of it. In this draft league format, Fake Out is a must. Return isn't, which sounds kind of weird, but when it has moves like Knockoff, Power Up Punch, which is 60 base power, keep that in mind, and U-turn. When it has U-turn, this changes so because you always fake out and you always U-turn. How much like I'm trying to off the top of my head a good example. Let's say like a Tapu Fini. No, that's a bad example. But let's just say any mon. You fake it out, you do like let's the 25%, 30%. You U-turn out, that's another 5-10% based on like the type, and then you bring in your check. That's just 3 percentage points. You don't even really need a life orb. You can run something else so you don't take residual. In fact, with this set, I probably wouldn't use life orb. Probably something like, I don't know, belt maybe. I don't know. You can play around with that. What I'm saying is that mons with U-turn with high speed and utility like this are hard to come by, especially when it has knockoff. So, okay, I'll give you a Tapu Fini example. You can go to Tapu Fini, you fake out turn 1. That's 20 at least, or if life orb, let's say 15. You knock it off, it's Scald, it can't burn you, whatever. You turn out, you just chip it down. You chip it down, you have Power Up Punch for utility. You get a lot of other stuff too. Yeah, it's a gunk shot, I didn't know that. Fire Punch. I spent all the punches. This is one of my favorite mons. I'm just gonna say that. And Drampa, that's all I have on Drampa. Nah, I don't even know if he touch brought it. It was an interesting idea, but it's kind of like the Togedemar and Rockers team where you picked it up for the novelty of it. Drampa, I don't know. I'll talk about it if someone picks it up, but for now, Drampa's gone, and that's probably better. But yeah, very good move on Hutch's part. A plus. A plus. Hutch is just making some great under the radar transactions that really help his team. He's 6-3 right now. I have him as the 3rd seed in my prediction. I'm doing like a little prediction myself, and I have him 3rd. So keep doing what you're doing, Hutch. You got a pretty good team. You're a very good battler, and I hope to play in the playoffs. Okay, guys, and there's been another trade today. It is Saturday, so I basically finished recording everything else, but there was another trade. So I'll talk about it right now and put it in pretty much in the middle of the video. So that's why the time's off. But anyways, this is a pretty interesting trade as well because it's 2 teams right fighting for a playoff spot in the Contract Killers and the Denver Nimbles. So Demaster trades his Nidoqueen for Brad's Mamoswine as well as his Vikavolt for Brad's Venomoth. Now this is a very cool trade, and this kind of sucks for me because like I think like around like 12 a.m. I was 12 in the noon. I was like, you know what? I think this trade will help me, especially for my game against Ian, because Demaster offered me Nidoqueen for Nihilego. I'm like, okay, it's not terrible. I'll think about it. You know, and I basically was like, oh, you know, I probably will make this trade, and then he already traded it. It's whatever. Not a big deal for me because I still have a free agent pickup left. So the way I see it, on Mamoswine was a really good mod on Brad's team, but he had Mega Bombasnow, which made it kind of redundant. As just like, or not redundant, but like it was very big weakness, a fire weakness on his team. He had like it was just like these 2 mons, especially with both ice offensive typings, is kind of difficult to play around with. Whereas now Nidoqueen, he keeps the ground typing, but he gets a poison type, and poison type is just as good offensive typing, or a little worse than ice, but like very good offensive typing. Especially with Nidoqueen is one of the best, just best hazard removal mons that can hit hard. It's one of the few mons that can set up rocks on Tapu Fini somewhat reliably. It's got the sheer force with Sludge Wave. It's got Earth Power, Ice Beam, and Flamethrower, and Thunderbolt even. So I guess it sets up a Mantine. No one have Mantine, but like basically you get a couple coverage moves for what you want. You get Stealth Rocks, or you want Toxic Spikes if you want it. It's decently bulky for something that can do this, and it hits pretty damn hard, to be honest with you. You can also run Black Sludge, a bit more defensive. Definitely that can work as well. Its speed is whatever, but you can play around with that. It's a very good pickup for Brad's team. I feel like he's crafting a more bulky team now with his pickup Cresselia. He's picked up Nino Queen. Definitely interesting how Brad finishes the year because he's 4-5, but he's only a game back of the next playoffs. But a bunch of teams are there too, so it's going to be tight. As for the Master, he picks up Mammoth, which I think fits better, or fits his playstyle better than Nido Queen. Just how I've watched him play. He's definitely more of an offensive player as opposed to Brad, who's much more smarter and more reserved, thinking long term. So one like Nido Queen fell with Brad. Mammoth comes in and it clicks move. It's Life Orb. It hits like a freaking truck. It also gets Stealth Rock, and I really like these like offensive Stealth Rockers, whether it be like Nihilego and Mamoswine, like offensive Lando T. These are really good because they pressure their team. They pressure other people's team a lot. So it does get rocks. It also gets Taunt, which is there. Oh, it doesn't get Taunt. Never mind. No, never mind. Ignore that. But basically, it gets the Earthquake. It gets the 2 stabs. Or yeah, the 2 stabs. Ice Crush and Earthquake. It gets Spear. It gets Shard, and it gets whatever last move, which is generally Stealth Rock, but it also gets Knockoff, which is fits really well there too. Superpower, if you're looking at like an Umbreon, maybe. Superpower is there. I've seen it run a couple times. Freeze Dry, if you're playing like something that Freeze Dry would be good against, I'm sure there will be. And it gets Stone Edge, which is also there. I probably wouldn't run it. But yeah, basically you're going to be doing this, probably just Stealth Rocks in the end, or Knockoff. So definitely a trade here that it's so close that I'm gonna say both of these guys won because I feel both got what they wanted and both got a mod that better fits their play style. So honestly, both of them could end up. Actually no, one of them pretty much. I think one of them is not gonna make it. Just the math is how it works. But if I had to put like, they both got better. That's what I'm trying to say. So the next transaction we have is a swap of 2 bugs. So it is Vikavolt, which was on the Master's team, to Venomoth, which was on Brad's team. Now, this one, I believe, has a clear winner, which I have to say is the Master, because Venomoth is one of the most underrated Pokemon I felt in the draft. And then I kind of feel Brad hasn't used it. I shouldn't say that. It's not to say Brad hasn't used it well, but I feel like it has just so much more to give. Whereas Vikavolt is almost... It hits hella hard, but it's so one-dimensional. Although it does get Volt Switch, which is a huge bonus for a mon that really has a lot of that really like doesn't have many checks to begin with. So we'll talk about Vikavolt soon, but Venomoth is one of my I feel it's so good at just catching people off guard. Like it gets Sleep Powder, which then that's just good on its own. It gets Quiver Dance, of course. Its speed tier is whatever. It's all right. Timid. It outspeeds 80 at least. It outspeeds enough, but doesn't outspeed base 100, which kind of sucks. But at +1, you're probably outspeeding most stuff anyways. And you don't need to run coverage moves because with Tinted Lens, Bug Buzz does pretty much the same. As you can see, it does double damage, so it basically it doesn't have any resistances, or at least regular resistances. As long as you're not facing like a bug type. Sorry, I'm really out of it right now. As long as you're not facing a quad weakness, which I'm trying to think of which one would quad both of its stabs, and I really can't think of one because Steel is immune, but then Bug Buzz is neutral. Stuff like that, right? So even something like Scizor, it's not taking repeated Bug Buzzes because it's a neutral hit. Where in theory you'd think it was, but and also gets Sleep Powder, of course. But at +1, it's just gonna run through everything. If you play it well, which I'm gonna see if I really am interested to see if the Master can use it well. And this will be a big test for him. Another possible set which I really liked is Black Sludge. Like this set, just take a look at this really quick. I don't think they ran sub on this one. Or sorry, I didn't think they ran Sleep Powder, and it was like this. This set was like disgustingly good. It was just, this is disgusting. You don't have to run that much speed. The EVs you can play around with. Definitely 2 very good options for the Master. Hope he uses it well. As for Brad, he picks up Vikavolt. This thing hits hella hard, but it's also revenged by everything in the game because its defenses are whatever and its speed is terrible. I can only really think of another one like Rampardos who is hits as hard as this, but then just revenged as well. But I think this has got an edge on Rampardos in the fact that it has a Volt Switch. I mentioned that before, but the reason why Volt Switch is so good, and I don't really think this needs to be discussed, is that it can Volt Switch on any mon, basically, that isn't ground type. And what this allows it to do is it allows it to pick up momentum against mons that don't really want it. Let's say, like, it didn't have Volt Switch, right? You Bug Buzz, but they go to their check, and now you have to switch out or sack it, especially if it's choice. Whereas you Volt Switch around, especially if your opponent doesn't have an immunity, you Volt Switch on anything, and if your opponent stays in, because let's say you go on a Mew, for example, Mew's not doing anything to you. Let's say he fears a Bug Buzz, he switches out to whatever would check it, you Volt out, you bring in your Mon, or he stays in, you Volt, and you like 50 because it's a Vikavolt. Its speed tier is pretty bad. Another thing I would like to point out is that it does get agility, which means if you do run timid max speed, you have enough to outspeed 130 speed at least, or that's just like a general one. That's like Jolteon, and then you can obviously just sweep with Bug Buzz, which is another option, which your opponent should prep for. But I still think this one goes to the Master, just because Venomoth I feel is a bit more better, whereas Vikavolt is very team reliant. I remember the Master brought against Suzy, and it kind of 6-0'd his team, whereas most other matches it pretty much did nothing. Anyways, this is all the trades as of Saturday, 8:02 Pacific Standard Time. If there are more, of course I'll add them, but at this point it doesn't seem like there will be any more. But again, if there are any more, we'll just record it. It's not a big deal. Alright guys, so I promised I talked about the other transaction I skipped, so here they are. So Malone was involved in 4 of them, Anaria also in 4, and then Gustavo in 2. So Cresselia, first Malone traded Cresselia to Anaria for Mew. Then Malone traded Tapu Bulu for Sylveon, same again with Anaria, and the final one, again, was Malone and Anaria, Jellicent for Weezing swap. After that, Malone traded his Drapion to Gustavo for his Mismagius, and to cap things off, Anaria traded the recently acquired Cresselia to Gustavo for Silvally, which then, a quick asterisk, Gustavo of course then traded to Brad. So, I'm just going to start with this trade right now. These are 2 of the most hyped Mons when they came in the draft. I think Anaria's used Mew okay. I don't know if Malone's used it too well. And now it's changed like 3 teams in the span of a week or something like that. And now Brad has it, so I think Brad's going to make it work very well. As for Malone, he gets what many consider one of the best Mons because it can literally be everything. Like, Millen used this like so well last year. And it can be like Stealth Rocks, like Fog, Knockoff, well, I mean, if you've ever played OU Lad, you'll notice things everywhere as one of the best defoggers. Gets every single TM, we know that. It's just it can be a bulky wall, it can be it can be fast, it can be bulky wall with speed investment, which is what I really like about this mon. So definitely a good trade on Malone's part. So the next trade, again, was a Malone to Anaria swap. Tapu Bulu, which was of course the Masters draft pick, for Sylveon. I don't like Tapu Bulu very much in draft because on ladder it's good because people don't normally run a poison coverage move because it only hits Bulu. Now that's kind of been changed. You'll see hidden power poison sometimes on Keldeo, but like in draft league when your opponent has a Bulu, oh well, 4th move, what do I run? Let's run poison jab because because it's a TM, right? Or if you're a special attacker, I just run an HP poison. And it also kind of helps your opponent's team. If your opponent's got a setup sweep or like a wall, grassy terrain, always good. So it's kind of a iffy mon in draft league, and I think we found that out this year. As for Sylveon, Sylveon is one of my I think it's going to be very, very good. And if next season we go towards UU, RU, OU like tier list system, it's for drafting. This will be like the first pick of UU, one of them, because as just like raw Hyper Voicer, it has one of the hardest hitting specs move in the game. But it also gets Calm Mind, it also gets Wish Pass, and it gets Heal Bell. It's just such a good cleric, but it can also be a hard hitting mon. So if I had to say, I'd say Malone won this trade because I like Sylveon. I don't really like Bulu, but Bulu also is a very good like what's coming on a banded Woodhammer or just SD into Woodhammer / Hornleech gets superpower. I don't believe this is Z Captain, that might hinder him a bit, but I think Malone should get this, or sorry, Anaria should get this to work quite well. But for now, I'm gonna say Malone won this trade. So next trade is Jellicent for Weezing, a tier 2 trade. Jellicent was picked up by the Master very early on in the season. The Master used it okay, used it alright, and then traded it off to Malone in like the week 8 debacle. So Malone picks up Weezing, which I felt was very, very good on Anaria's team. I think Weezing's a very good mon. If you need a fairy check or just a physical wall, ground immunity, Will-O-Wisp, toxic spikes, paints, it's all there. It's all there for Weezing. But it's kind of one-dimensional, and it is pretty easy to set up on because you're only really gonna be a wisping. It does get haze though. I actually didn't know that. But... Okay, so take that back. It's not that easy to set up on. When it has coverage moves like Will-O-Wisp, Fire Blast, Sludge Bomb with Stab, and that's all you really need. You can run Pulse. I probably wouldn't unless you're playing Hoopa. Memento, Pain Split. Of course, it's got Thunderbolt. I wouldn't run. Toxic Spikes is the main one you want to run as the last move. Very good mon on Malone's. He picked up by Malone. As for Jellicent, Anari's gonna love Jellicent. It's such a cool mon. It's just a great utility mon. Taunt. It basically shuts down a lot of Pokemon very well. Maybe Keldeo. And I'm saying Keldeo because Keldeo does jack crap to a Jellicent. That's just the main one, but also it's such a good special wall. Water Absorb kind of pushes it into what its niche is, which is obviously like just a great mon at checking water types in general. Obviously, its physical defense is kind of lacking. You don't want to be taking knockoffs, but then it's countered by Will-O-Wisp. And Will-O-Wisp is such an annoying move because you gotta wisp something, and if you don't, you go to your fire type, you get hit by a Scald. It's got Hex to back that up, and it's got Recover. There you go. It's great mon, great two mons. It's kind of this is an even trade in my opinion, and both coaches should consider this one a win. Okay, so next trade is Drapion for Mismagius. Malone. So Malone picks up Mismagius, which, if I'm not mistaken, was a Z captain. I might be wrong about that, but I remember Demaster. No, never mind. It shouldn't be a Z captain. No, it's not a Z captain. So, anyways, Drapion was a very good mon, and I think Malone used it okay, but I think there's more potential here. When it gets knockoff and it's so bulky that it can run stuff like Shuka or Lefties or Lum just to take hits, it's gonna hit hard. When it gets Jab and it gets Pursuit, slap an Assault Vest on it, and you got yourself a good check to Psychic types, one of the best actually, to be honest. And it gets moves like Aqua Tail. We saw Malone bring that against me. It was a very good bring because it hit Aerodactyl, of course. But it's also got Earthquake and all the Fangs, so Ice Fang, stuff like that. Could hit Garchomp after a Shuka, for example. And of course it gets SD, and I actually didn't know this, it gets Whirlwind, is pretty cool, and Toxic Spice is pretty cool as well. Gustavo will definitely, I think that he's going to enjoy this mon more than Mismagius. He picked it up from Demaster, who I don't think was using it as well as he could have. It was a Z-move captain, which kind of made this thing have to be offensive, whereas I feel this thing's niche is that it's fast enough and has enough coverage moves that you can run stuff like Will-O-Wisp, Bulky Calm Mind. Obviously, Demaster used it as Nasty Plot, Z-Swipper, but honestly, it doesn't hit hard enough for me to warrant that. I really like more of a sub-calm mindset. Taunt. I mean, you'd have to run Shadow Ball. Maybe not sub-calm mind and Taunt. You probably want one of the other. And its speed tier is very good. It gets a lot of coverage moves, which is nice as well. So I think, actually, I feel Malone won this trade because I like Mismagius a lot. Not saying Drapion's not as good. I'm saying, like, because Mismagius has so much untapped potential. And hopefully Malone can use it very well for the remainder of his matches. And the final trade of these ones that I skipped is Cresselia for Silvally. And then, of course, Gustavo trades Cresselia for, I believe, Starmie. So, Anari picks up Silvally, and Silvally literally was the reason that I lost to Gustavo, basically, because... And honestly, Silvally being... The fact that Silvally can be any type is so hard to prep for. Its stats are whatever, but... Honestly, the fact you can run ground and flying, those two types alone make it very hard to prep for. Because, like, from my perspective, Gustavo didn't have a ground type. So I was like, oh, let's bring the Trek and we'll switch around, but then Silvally can be ground type. On the other hand, let's say your opponent doesn't have a flying or ground immunity and he brings a flying Silvally. It's very hard, and you don't know what it is until it gets revealed. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. I might be wrong about that. As for Cresselia is probably just one of the best mons, but then Gustavo traded it, so I can't really consider this a win for Gustavo. So this win goes to Anaria, and then Brad will probably use Cresselia for a hard push to the playoffs, and he will use it well. And then yeah, these are pretty much all the trades so far. These will probably be like put out of order, but it's like whatever. I'm not sure how the order is going to go. You'll see how it goes, but. As for transactions this week, it's been slower. So most of the transactions have been from week 8. There's only been 2 this week. and yet those two are two very good transactions that actually affect the game a lot. I have one more free agent transaction. I will definitely be using that for the end of the year, I feel. Other than that, for now, I'm saying goodbye. If there's another one, I'll probably record another one. If there's not, then, well, I'll probably record an outro. Alright guys, so that wraps it up for this video. There will most likely not be any more transactions. If there will be, whatever. It's like 6 p.m. on Sunday, so I'm just gonna end the video here. It's a much slower week because most of the transactions happened in week 8, like I mentioned. There were 2 in week 9, and there are some very good ones. And a lot of the trades actually are going to be very interesting to see how they play out. Most notably, the Venomoth trade. I feel that's going to be a very interesting trade. I want to see how Demaster can play Venomoth. At the same time, I do want to see if Brad can play Vikavolt to its full potential. Anyways, that wraps up for transactions of week 9. I hope you guys join me for weekly recap this week because I will be taking over for Hutch as he is on vacation. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next video.